So, update 2.3 released about 2 weeks ago now, I think, in Marvel's Avengers, and I wanted to take my time with getting my hands on the new content that they added and the gear perks that they might have changed and stuff like that to get a feel for how the update was. But I think I've had enough time with it to give a review on how good this update is. So I'll give my thoughts on the update. Now also, I'm going to split it up into how I thought the content was that they released, and I'll also talk about obviously the glitches as well, because, you know, of course, with a new Avengers update, there comes glitches. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. So starting with the actual content that they dropped. So content-wise, I actually really enjoyed this update. I feel like it has a lot of quality of life things and improvements for new players especially, and tons of new ways to farm for exotics. So I mean, outside of the fact that you can now get exotics from both vaults and villain sectors, the fact that you can do elite vault missions and elite vault villain sector mission chains, you can do them with each individual hero once a week, and I think that was a great decision. So it's just like the OLT and the raid now, where the mission chain for elite vaults and elite villain sectors you can actually do weekly with each individual hero, not just once per account. So I think that was a very good decision, and it makes it really easy to try to farm for exotics from those missions, because the elite versions of the missions themselves have a higher chance of getting an exotic, and with the mission chain weekly, it gives you like 3 pieces, I think, in total when you complete it. And I would say, especially with the elite versions of these missions, at least 80 to 85% of the time, from how I've been playing, at least 80 to 85% of the time you get like 1 exotic per run. So when you're getting, and that's when you're getting 3 of the pieces of equipment from like the mission chain and stuff. So that is it's not a bad rate whatsoever, in my opinion. So I really like that. I'm honestly just personally waiting for, at this point, them to do the same thing with the priority missions, because obviously the priority missions has another type of power exotic set that you can get that they reworked as well. So now moving on with the actual gear perk reworking. So regarding that, I think they did a fantastic job, honestly. It feels like it is majorly diversifying builds with a lot of the different heroes, if I'm just being honest. Like, when I was learning about some of this gear, it honestly made me feel like the elite raid gear honestly kind of didn't hold up anymore. I know that's not the case, because some of the best builds from this point forward are actually going to be a mixture of both the elite raid gear working hand in hand with some of the new exotics, such as like the exotics from the Apex, the technical, and the universal power sets. So obviously the elite raid gear isn't like just, it's still viable, obviously, but it's just some of the gear from the Apex, technical, and universal power sets really just blew me away. I'm surprised by how good they are. For example, there's a new heroic exotic piece for Iron Man that you can get from the priority mission, which is specifically a part of the universal power set, which gives you an extra charge of arc overload and gives you 150% increased attack damage while overcharged. Those perks being on the same piece of gear together kind of blows my mind. Like, it is an insanely good piece of gear, in my opinion. Likewise with Hulk too, right? He has a heroic piece from the Apex set, I believe, which helps with the normal rock damage, and a melee piece from that same Apex set that increases light combo finisher damage by 40%. I haven't even mastered the rock build with my Hulk personally yet. I'm still trying to put it together, but with these 2 new pieces alone, my Hulk is miles better than he was, and my Hulk was already at power level 175 even before this update, but I just feel like even with those 2 pieces, my Hulk feels way better, so I definitely appreciate that. And I mean, there are still a plethora of new pieces of gear that I've seen for different heroes that I haven't even had the opportunity to try for myself yet. Like, some things that I'm seeing for Captain America are legitimately insane. He looks like he's incredibly more viable now than he was before, and he wasn't even remotely bad before. That's what's crazy. But now Captain America is kind of looking like he's approaching top tier. Like, I've seen some crazy Brooklyn Brawler stuff that I honestly cannot wait to try out, because that's my favorite type of build with Cap, is working on how strong his Brooklyn Brawler can be. So moving on from the perk changes though, obviously the added bonus of receiving units from completing the raid or the OLT is a great thing. However, in my opinion, they need to make sure that they keep the shipments down to costing only about 250. It's 250 units per shipment, because right now with people at power level 175, the best and the fastest way is to get upgrade modules is to buy shipments. And there's honestly, like I said, I heavily appreciate the unit reward from the Raider OLT, but there is still not much of a unit income for buying shipments on the regular to be viable in terms of trying to get upgrade modules, because you need a lot of upgrade modules, especially if we're talking an exotic to an exotic, right? So if I get a power level 140 exotic right now and I want to boost it all the way up to the 165 power level, it costs like 1,600 upgrade modules to do that. So shipments is, like I said, the fastest way, but buying them all the time is not viable with the amount of units we're still able to get. So they either need to give us even more ways to get units easier, or they need to, in my opinion, just keep the cost down to 250, which I honestly don't think 250 units for shipments is a problem. I think it's honestly pretty reasonable. And finally, with the raid checkpoint gear, obviously I thought the same thing that I think now beforehand, right? And I still think it was the best thing that they could have done for the raid at this point, because now, even though the raid might glitch, people can still walk away from it with gear if they didn't manage to complete the whole thing. So I honestly, before this even came out, when I read that this was going to be a thing, I thought it was an incredibly smart decision, and it still holds up now that I've been able to experience it for myself. And I've actually ran into a problem where we were unable to complete the raid one time, and I still managed to get gear from it. So I'm firsthand experience what that update is preventing, so I heavily appreciate it. So now let's kind of switch topics a little bit, and we'll talk about the glitches of the update, right? So especially for PS5, this update did not drop in a very good state at all, right? So there was a glitch that prevented people from playing Avengers Initiative at all, because the game kept crashing when they were like loading into the new Nick Fury cutscene. And the only way around it was to reset your story progress. Obviously, this is a huge glitch to encounter, so I totally understand people being angry about it. I personally got lucky to not be affected by that glitch, and I'm on PS5, but I know my friend, he tried to log in and play Avengers Initiative, and he encountered that same crash. So it's honestly, I can completely understand that is a huge glitch to encounter when an update first drops. The second glitch that I was personally affected by actually was Thor not being able to do any damage whatsoever. So if you had a sonic hammer with Thor, while you had that hammer equipped, he does no damage whatsoever. Whether it was a ranged attack, melee attack, heroic attack, none of it mattered. It was literally all the same, just no damage came out whatsoever. So this is obviously frustrating, because in my opinion, one of the best builds with Thor that you're going to be able to do is having his sonic hammer with a vibranium payload on it. So I had to switch my build slightly until they had a fix for this. And even now, as I'm making this, I guess they just put out a patch to fix this issue, but I'm still hearing from other people and seeing that it potentially made it worse somehow, but I haven't played since the new patch had dropped to supposedly fix this issue. So I don't speak from experience from that, but I will wait to see for that too. So those are the glitches that I've personally known about and encountered that are like really big too. Like, obviously there are still glitches in this update that are like same old. I know it kind of sucks to say that, but they're the same glitches that we've already seen in this game. But those are the two ones that I know with this update that got added that were huge. It sucks, and it also sucks to say this, but we also know at this point with the updates, they're going to drop with glitches, and it's just the way it's going to be, and I definitely feel like it's still the case with other games as well. When a new update drops that adds actual content, there's bound to be glitches. It's just been unfortunate because, number one, Avengers has been dropping the ball with it a lot. Like, I feel like the glitches have been a lot. And number two, the game's not well liked to begin with. So in my opinion, those two things just mixed together just add fuel to the fire and make it worse. But with all of that being said, I would give the content added, so just talking about the content specifically, I would give the content an 8.5 to 9 out of 10, because I truly feel the quality of life has improved significantly in terms of ways to get gear, as well as diversity of the gear and the gear perks rework and all of that. I think it has improved significantly, and I like that a lot. Now, obviously, with the glitches, I'll give, obviously, a 3 out of 10. I don't even really know what I mean when I rate the glitches, but I'm just going to say I'm going to knock it down, obviously, because of the glitches, because the glitches were humongous and they were severe enough to where people could either not play the game for a period of time, or they could not use a specific hero like Thor for a certain period of time. Overall, I'm going to give this entire update a 6.5 out of 10-ish, which sucks to say because, like I said, I like the content that they added, but since the glitches were so severe, I think a 6.5 is it's deserved at this point. It really is, because the glitches were just so severe. If it was like run-of-the-mill average glitches, I might not make it a 6.5. I might make it higher, but the glitches were so severe that it's just like, that's just how it has to be. But with this being said, I don't want to diminish the content that was added with this update, and I want to, if for some reason a dev comes across this, I want to like say that, like, again, the content that was added in this update is terrific, and with this type of content, please just keep on bringing the quality of life stuff, and then obviously we would like to see new tangible content that we haven't seen before as well, because that would be nice. So, I mean, yeah, that's about wraps it up. Comment down below if you enjoyed Update 2.3 from Marvel's Avengers. And if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. And I appreciate you for watching the video.